You will be my instrument. Who are you?
Gladiator II comes 24 years in the making by Ridley Scott, and this is a film in which we follow the events of the first Gladiator film, and I will talk more about that in my openly spoilerific review that will be coming out later this weekend. But you can also check out our review on Wicked as well, another film opening this weekend. Now, the film stars Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn, Fred Hechinger, Lior Raz, Jacobi, Connie Nielsen, and Denzel Washington. Denzel. That's what I'm going to start this review by saying, because there's a lot I want to talk about this right here. So in this film, we follow Mescal as he arrives in the Roman Empire, and it's based 16 years after the events of the first film. We see that Rome has basically almost fallen and crumbled. So the Roman Empire, how many times are you thinking about it in a day? So I thought a funny thing that happened was an interviewer asked Denzel, how much does he think of the Roman Empire? And Denzel's basically, I don't. And that's all. So I thought that was pretty funny. But I really do want to talk about this film because this film is clocking in at over 2 hours, 2 hours and 25 minutes. It was a pretty lengthy runtime, and I was kind of used to these lengthy runtimes because I saw The Brutalist on Saturday, then I saw Wicked on Sunday, and those films are over 2 hours. The Brutalist is actually 3 hours and 30 minutes. So I was used to this, but I will tell you with Gladiator 2, one of my peeves was that I felt that runtime, and I hate when I feel runtimes. Like, I don't love going to a film and thinking, when is this gonna end? You know, like, that's a thing, and that's what I was thinking here. I was just like, okay, so what's gonna happen here, right? And that's not the fault, I think, of any of the actors here, because I think they're great. I think it's just the story was trying to do a lot, and I think that this maybe could have been a series. And that's sometimes I think about a film, is sometimes you can make a series out of this. Now, first and foremost, I think that Paul Mescal is good in this. I think he does a good job at what he has, but I do believe him to be the weakest part of the movie, even though he is the protagonist. I really did enjoy Pedro Pascal's performance here, and it really does pack a punch because Pedro Pascal's character is such a very complicated and complex character that's dealing with a lot of things, and at first glance you think you know him, you think you know what this character is all about, but as the movie progresses and you really figure his character and see what he's really about, you start to realize that there is something more to his performance as Marcus Acacius, and I really do think Pedro is such a talented actor here. Connie Nielsen here as well as Lucille was great, and this is a character that of course comes from the previous Gladiator film, and I thought that she did a great job at what she's able to really portray here in this story and really showcase how I think good people try to do good, but then it's the environment and where they are that doesn't allow them to fully grasp that goodness, right? Denzel Washington plays the character of Macrinus here, who is a very interesting character, I will say, and I was very fascinated with how much I truly enjoyed and loved what Denzel was doing here, where he was really giving this very nuanced and very subtle performance of a character that looks to be somebody who doesn't care about power, but deep down they are plotting their every revenge into getting into that power. And I don't want to get more into those spoilers there, but definitely a character that if you don't really pay attention to them or you take your eye off of them, they're about to get you. And that's exactly what Denzel was able to convey with Macrinus, a very tactical and very seedy character indeed. Now, the emperors here are played by Joseph Quinn as well as Fred Hechinger, and there is a very interesting performance here as well. They have this very, I would say, cartoonish vibe to them, evil character of sorts. They did stick out a bit like that, but with a Roman film like this, like Gladiator and all that, I think you wanted a character to be like that, and you don't want them to be the exact character that Joaquin Phoenix played as Commodus from the original Gladiator film. You want them to feel very much so out of tune with the rest of the characters here, like they're living in their own land, and it is a very dark and twisted land at what they imagine Rome to be, and that's something that I thought was interesting about the performance here. Now, overall, in terms of spectacle, the spectacle is here the action set pieces, the gladiator scenes, the Colosseums, all of that over the top in the best way possible, and that's something that I think we've come to expect from Ridley Scott as of late as a director. Now in his 80s and things like that, he is a director who I think is taking a lot more risk and is just trying to do what they feel is going to be much more more grand, right? Like we have seen these directors that are in their late stages and have had a long career, just very much so going, I don't want to say zany, but they are really throwing it over the top, maximalist, if you will. Megalopolis, Furiosa. Now we have this film, which is Gladiator 2, and I do enjoy seeing that. I do love seeing them go out and just full on brash and just very much so becoming what they always wanted to become, right? Like this was a director that maybe had this grand vision before, but of course with funding, and you also need to have a lot of backing from the studio, maybe it didn't come, but now they're able to do that, and I'll always support that because I think the vision is always there. Now, in terms of the story in itself, like I said, it does get a bit convoluted. Subplots here and there sort of get faded out, and I think that emotional beats that we're supposed to hit don't really get to hit just because there's so much that's awaiting for us. Like, we get to a certain aspect of the film where you have this emotional beat, but then the film in itself is like, oh, but we have to get to this already, so okay, let's go. Like, it's just running and running and running, and that's one of the things I think really bogs the movie down, is there is no time to breathe. Even though the movie is over 2 hours, it doesn't still breathe and let you take in these moments. But I do want to say that I think Ridley Scott has some great framing in this, probably some of my favorite framing of the year. And as well, I said it in my reaction, it just looks like a damn painting, which is great. Overall, I think Gladiator is worth seeing if you're a fan of the first one. If you want to see Denzel just really give you a crash course into what a damn actor's supposed to do, this is the movie. Watch it on the big screen. I watched it in IMAX. It was glorious. It was grand. The sounds, the visuals, and everything are there. Like I said, I think it's just great to support a director like Ridley Scott, who has had a long trajectory, really just go out and still do these wild movies that are just cinematic. And honestly, Gladiator 2 was pretty fun. Like I said, its runtime does get in its way, and I think that some of the performances here outweigh the others, but overall as a packaged movie, I still had a great time with it. And like I said, and it is still worth seeing. So yeah, that's my thoughts and opinions on Gladiator 2. Which movie are you watching this weekend? Glicked weekend. But we will have a review with spoilers for both of those films coming out by Friday, so stay tuned for that. But let me know your thoughts and opinions. Check out our Wicked review if you're planning to watch Wicked as well. We already have it up, and I'll see all of you next time. As always, stay safe and stay positive.
That rage is your gift.
This is about survival!